Hi, hello, and welcome to the Daily Tarot Buffet brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Priestess of Blosi. I'll be your oracle today. I was sent to deliberate the findings for the transiting moon into Aquarius. If you are new, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. It's a delight and an honor and a privilege to serve you. Thank you for allowing us to do so. If anything resonates deeply with you, go ahead and comment, share, subscribe, leave a review, book a session, send a donation. You belong, so welcome home. Vertex of Abundance is a galactic temple of ascension, delivering sacred messages from behind the veil. Again, if anything resonates deeply with you, go ahead and smash that like button. We will be imposing the guidance from Thoth Tarot. That's by Aleister Crowley, illustrated by Lady Frida Harris, published by US Game System. We'll also use the minor arcana from Cosmic Coven Tarot to clarify any findings related to pairings or matchings. And then we'll use the Veda Sibila to clarify any findings for correlative or corresponding energies. So I'm already sensing a little bit of Strigeria Benedetia, actually Brujeria Santaria, because when I was saying energy, I heard the word energía. So usually if I code switch to Spanish, it means there's a curandera or a bruja involved. For the Libra season, when anything is transiting through the sign of Aquarius, we actually have a fifth house event. So this specific event is a lunation, meaning it's a lunar event. Okay, we have some kind of increase or kind of like a flash because the moon transits every 2.5 days. It's a 59-hour transit. That's a lunar day. Well, it's increased insight and intuition into the areas of our fifth house, and it presents in the way of Aquarius. So it's going to be a little higher minded. It's going to be very dharmic, very galactic, cosmic citizen in its nature, a little bit out there or future facing, or even like further ahead of time, like out in the future, space age, new age, which is a misnomer, that word. But the fifth house is the service that the love we give ourselves and others, love that we give ourselves and others, this degenerative energy, the speculative energy. Sometimes it's called where we go to play. It can be our creative endeavors, where we're speculative, even like gambling a little bit. And then if we're working on things, school especially, bachelor's level education is what the fifth house rules because it's the first step outside the house, fifth house. Now, it also could be the beginning of something, especially like, like a romantic situation. It's more dating than it is being exclusive. Just a quick prayer for all those still lost out there to illusion, delusion, confused, and lost in the seas of time, trapped somewhere in the nature, yet to heal, yet to awaken, yet to return to the resplendent grace of the divine, unconditional love of universal oneness, upon the great spirit. We love you. We're sorry. Please forgive us. Thank you. We ask that our steps be ordered, our path be illuminated, and that we find salvation and redemption in this lifetime. May we be happy. May we be whole. May we be at peace. May we receive everything we ever wanted, starting with what we deserve. Amen. So we're going from this gracious, exalted influence over an entire cycle, High Priestess, to spiritual alignment and attunement, temperance. The High Priestess is clarified by Two of Cups, Three of Cups. So over the next 2 weeks, we're going to be anchoring in the intention of witness, testimony, fulfillment, even. It's clearance, kind of like a prayer. It's been answered. And this prayer answered really is more being directed, being guided, being ushered, being encouraged towards our destiny, which happens to be also our birthright and our spiritual inheritance and the calling on our life. This 10 of Pentacles is mirroring the Three of Pentacles. That's a double Mercury energy. Which is interesting because also the zodiac energy of the Temperance is, yes, Sagittarius, but the astrological energy of the Temperance, especially for the mystery school students out there, it actually is the exalted Mercury, which is in Virgo. So this is what the Temperance means. Yes, it's zodiac Sagittarius, but astrologically, it's exalted Mercury, which, okay, so there is some kind of maturation here in a reunion. We have riunioni here. Riunioni in the Destabilizing. Without that saying that at the precipice is love, devotion, adoration, fidelity. And if it can continue, we can have a meeting of the heart. Multiple things are going to flourish. Now we're looking here at a Two of Cups right when we open. And we're aware of this on some level. Maybe it's just a spiritual level. Because over the next 2 weeks, there's going to be there's going to be a revelation of some kind with disgratia, which here it actually is bringing a solution to multiple things because we were fumbled in some way. But it wasn't spoken to us. They actually plan to spin the block, is what I'm getting. Something is going to be secured in about 2 weeks. We're going to have the opportunity for some type of sturdy, committed foundation. So now we have the devil clarified by the Queen of Cups and the Ace of Cups. So normally the devil would bring in harsh energies, and it still does here because it came out with the moon. It's 2/3 of the baneful brigade, the baneful trinity. So usually the Queen of Cups with the devil card would mean some type of Capricorn midheaven, also known as an Aries rising. However, when it's with this moon card, it's the great adversary. It's actually a Leviathan spirit. It uses this recursive kind of propulsion to make us either break vows, break covenants, get off the path. So I can tell there's been a lot of energy, entity, ideology, a lot of frequency, energy, vibration trying to get us to not believe. It's competing with us essentially in the Miko. We definitely have an adversary. It doesn't want us attending to some type, it wants us in our ego, uppity, cursing under our breath is what I'm picking up. It's been going on since the last moon. We have the mirror energy here supported by the moon, and it even is talking about what was going on around the Pisces moon, maybe even the Aquarius, and I'm talking about the full moons. Somewhere between the Aquarius and the Pisces full moon, there was some type of energy designed to make us step into our vices. And here it would have been ego around money, about being fulfilled, about being secure, stable, sturdy. It might have had us thinking that we lost our touch, we lost our craft, our skill, our cultivation. We might have had a repose of a false heart. So stop, go, yes, no, in, out, up, down, sure, unsure, certain, uncertain. That kind of, flippity flop flop. There might have even been a little bit of envy and ego here. There's a dark priestess on our tail and it's still very hidden. So that's the thing about the moon, is it gives you a little bit of insight and intuition into certain areas. So there may have been energy, frequency, vibration pinpointed or targeted at two things. First of all, there's a meet cute that's been around our peripheral, has been around our environment, surrounding location for some time, a couple moon cycles, if not over, anywhere between 2 months and 18 months. Because I'm also getting the nodal axis. That's the thing with the devil. It could bring in eclipses. It could bring in nodal axes. With the moon, okay, we have the full moon with the actual moon card, which is technically Pisces, and we have the new moon with the high priestess, which is technically the moon. So if the sun was out, it would talk about an eclipse, the devil. With the high priestess, it could talk either about a dark priestess, somebody with the dark compound, a dark covenant to the wrong principality, somebody who works with lower vibrational entities or fallen spirits, or it talks about the nodal axis, north node, south node, which actually is the incursion track of the eclipse is usually on the lunar node. And if I'm going to advance, just come to the mystery school. Okay, so somewhere within the last 18 months, there's been a meet cute in our energy. And there's been a concerted effort to block or postpone or delay activity, to kill it, muerte. They want to bring the energy that services this materialization to an end. Because that's the thing. When you stop making causes, you'll never walk into the effect, and basically you'll swap timelines to a lower vibrational outcome. I'm clarifying that high priestess with the so they wanted to bring despair, disperata per gelosia, to this rione here. Basically, it make us fumble somebody that really is about us. And this person got to thinking something that put them off the path too. And I can talk about another person because the fifth house is where we start up relationships. It's not quite partnerships, exclusive, but it's the love we give ourselves and others. It's our drive, desires, passions, motivations. It's our generative energy. It can be where we, lay it down and we put it out there, where there's energy, our intentions. It's kind of like flirting or, making propositions, proposals. It also is the house of gambling or sports competition. It's what we call speculative house. So it's saying that somebody re-upped or something, I'm just going to say energy, entity, ideology, probably an enemy, re-upped somewhere between the Aquarius and the Pisces new moon. And so we have this flippant, flagrant, frivolous energy thinking that it has some kind of, I'm using words that aren't supported here. So I'm just going to leave it at that, flippant, flagrant, frivolous. We actually have a powerful voice. We might have one of the sacred gifts, which all the gifts are sacred, but we might have one of the divine gifts, I'm going to say, meaning the hand of God, the voice of God, the eye of God, or we might actually sit on the throne of God, which doesn't actually mean that, the throne of mercy. It really means that of the 9 choirs of heaven, our sacred office, meaning the sacred calling on our life, the divine mission that we're walking upon the earth, is very close to like a Jesus lineage. We may be Melchizedek, we may be a seer, we may be a prophetess, a priestess, a messiah, something of that nature. Not just a light worker or a healer, but like a way shower, a world bridger, something kind of monumental that has to deal with the grand orchestration, the great design, meaning God definitely has a plan for us. And if that's not the technology you interface, the spiritual technology interface, higher power, creator source, God, Allah, Buddha, Shekinah, Jehovah, whatever, what have you, so on and so forth. The magician and the judgment card, it also means like a shot call. And for the indigenous practitioners, that's that local energy. I'm hearing you like, well, I don't understand. Now, for the past week or something, we've been under divine protection. A situation had to be contained for, so it's under divine protection. 7 of Wands. The 7 of Wands with the Judgment card means under divine protection, because the Judgment card is the throne of the divine. The reason being there's some type of practitioner or player out in the field who's trying to impose some type of sorcery and or somebody has decided to make us the recipient of some type of commitment that's yet to be made. So they're going through the motions, they're at the drawing board figuring out how to, it could be as far as wifey us up, Queen of Pentacles, but the Queen of Pentacles is a grand internal commitment. So she could be the golden goose, she could be the mother, the nurturer. If it's just a singular thing and we're not dealing with anybody else, we're going through our own speculative energy. The Queen of Pentacles is often somebody that's an adept at a practical skill. Okay. So they're living out of some type of material blessing. Sometimes it's because it was given by the divine. Sometimes it's because they did the work out of in the recent past or the distant past or the recent past. But about a week ago, I feel like some energy tried to swap, but really the tables turned. Because over the last 2 months, there's been us on our end returning to the eternal kingdom, returning to the intention on our life, returning to intellect, reasoning, communication, and we're stepping back into our supreme authority, which is whatever was endowed upon us through our birthright. So we're standing on business, Queen of Wands, really because we've defended a position. Somebody here, probably not us, is a Leo moon. They could have their moon also in the 5th house or in Leo, like I said. The other alternative would be a Taurus rising. Because the thing is, there's been some energy mounting up. It's an incursion. It's entering into our energetic field. It's just not working. It's not hitting yet. And this is designed to swap or to switch. And swap or switch what? It's a list of things. I don't want to get too cultural right now, but we know about destiny swap. What happened is the table started to turn, as evidenced by the Wheel of Fortune. So we have a pair of 8s here, which can mean spell work, but also it can mean manipulation. It can mean rumination, time, energy, effort, and indulgences. It could also mean, okay, we had 2 cards pop up, but they were face up. So yeah, when we withdrew our energy, we got chosen. When we stopped putting our energy out there and putting it into the divine, we realized that we've made it before we came to Earth. That everything was kind of set for us in our eternal life, and that we should just focus on the mission here on the earth, and that'll come into fruition. That actually brings something back and puts us back in alignment with the calling on our life, our spiritual inheritance, and the Pentacles. Okay, there is something on at the perimeter planning, and it's not actually bad. I think it's whomever we're supposed to be connected to, or if we're not dealing with another person, our future self is beginning to. Those quantum particles are beginning to manifest here. We're seeing the quarks, and I'm talking about string theory and quantum mechanics, but there we go, or quantum physics, but there we go. But again, even though like I start to leave the love conversation, then we have the Emperor with the Lovers card, which means that's the divine masculine there. Because another thing about the Eight of Cups, it doesn't always mean being withdrawn. It could mean we're beginning to learn about things spiritual, because the Eight of Pentacles is about that hustle, that grind, that flow. It also means that an investment that was made or seeds that were sown, they're compounding. they're growing. And that's the Pentacles. It's the same thing with the Cups, Eight of Cups, Eight of Pentacles, except it's spiritual. So with the Eight of Pentacles, you might be learning a skill, you might be on that grind, you might be hustling with the Eight of Pentacles. With the Eight of Cups, that could be spiritual and paid. That could be learning about your intuitive gifts. Ultimately, the Eight of Cups is about a pilgrimage. It's about a journey up the mountain. It's called ascendancy, stratification. So oftentimes we learn about our spiritual gifts. Oftentimes we have a pilgrimage, and that does ensure that we withdraw energy from things that no longer serve us. We could just be simply getting up from the table and love is no longer being served. But mirroring it is taking a claim, not standing our ground, but having a little bit left to give to something, another push. Queen of Wands, Nine of Wands, it's the anti-entitlement. With the Emperor here, somebody could be, you know, Moon in Sagittarius, Moon in Aries, Moon in the first house, Moon in the ninth house. We do withdraw a little bit, but it's because all of a sudden we have intellect, reason, and communication. We have wisdom. We become adept at discernment, and we have some type of clarity because of a foundation of truth. And we may be making some type of sacrifice or imposing standards and boundaries, and that also comes to our work. We're not necessarily going to have all the things going on that I mixed up my metaphors. So I heard irons in the fire, which doesn't make sense to me, but I also heard buns in the oven, which doesn't make sense to me together. Because usually one means, pregnancy, which isn't always a physical birth, inception, conception, gestation, implementation. Those are the different types of pregnancy as well. Gestation, conception for the feminine, inception, implementation for the masculine. We have the masculine out on the board, but that means that there's some type of nurturing and creativity. The Emperor is the spiritual side of material affairs. The Lovers card means that there's some type of soulmate union, a close connection, a bond, or we have our spirit team here. The benevolent ancestors, the exalted spirits that have passed on, the ascended masters, the guardian angels. So let's clarify this, Lovers, with something is coming. There's been a lot of delays to them disclosing their affections. La Matrice is somebody that hides their affections, but they actually are very sweet and loving towards us. Maybe they don't show that outwardly, but that's how they feel. It's going to take another 2 weeks or so. Okay, so we have the Emperor and now we have the Empress, and look, they're looking at each other. And before we have the Lovers card, and then we have the Magician. So this is, excuse me. So I was thinking about the Magician. Because the Lovers card and the Magician means the perfect person. Like that's a person that matches our partnership criteria. But the Wheel of Fortune and the Lovers card, it means a destined choice or a destined soulmate union. Now we have the Three of Swords, Eight of Swords. So that talks about timelines being delayed, especially with this timeline card out here. Okay. The Three of Swords can mean triangulation. It could mean that there's a higher body, a higher law, a higher fill in the blank going on. And so we're in the queue, delayed. With the Eight of Swords, it means there's been some rule, regulation, restriction. The Three of Swords is more of terms and conditions. It also says that for the lot. Yeah, so I was quite right. I was correct. And I was saying somewhere between the Aquarius and the Pisces, because that was 6 weeks ago, about. On the 7th, it'll be 8 weeks. So just over 6 weeks on the side of 7. The 7 weeks ago, we had the Aquarius full moon, and that's about when this restriction regulation was placed, because there's some type of restraint that's needed for this timeline to work rightly, because there's supposed to be some type of endowment and heiress here, is what the Empress and the Wheel of Fortune mean. And I'm catching that somebody we're connected to is supposed to see the writing on the wall, or to sense something with whatever environment they're hanging around. They're around contrivial people, superficial, surface level people that aren't deep. And they're servicing something that doesn't give them the true medicine that they need. I'm hearing that whole, I might not be the whiskey you want, but I'm the water you need. So they're getting whiskey instead of water. They're dehydrating instead of getting sustained. And it's happened already. So they may be waiting for us to come back around or to attend to the situation. They might be waiting for something to be attended to. So we have the Hangman and the Hermit, which talks about somebody that can go inside and have soul's wisdom. That's also a high level priest, a very high spiritual rank. It's also somebody that's a teacher, hermit of soul, especially subconscious things. With the King of Swords and the Five of Swords, the king is wanting. Five of Swords here could be wanting to bury the hatchet, wanting to lay down arms, wanting to establish some standards and boundaries, wanting to hold the field, block something out, wanting to revoke, rescind, because we have a double 5 here. Yeah, so I keep getting this. Somebody feels that they fumbled, delirante, the delirious. A lot though, they're stuck, not able to say or deliver a message because they're waiting on an opportune moment or return of something. So we have 2 kings here with 2 5s, and this has happened in the daily readings back to back. This happened, the same thing happened in Capricorn, where there was a knight and a 3. And there was a Knight of Cups with a 3 of Cups and a Knight of Pentacles with a 3 of Pentacles. Here we have a King of Swords with a 5 of Swords and a King of Pentacles with a 5 of Pentacles. So the 5s typically involve changes, especially the Pentacles. The Kings want, the Queens need, the Knights desire, and the Pages feel. So these Kings are wanting to make changes. It's a little more harsh and stark with the 5 of Swords, and I heard to lay down arms, to bury the hatchet. This 5 of Pentacles, there's been some kind of shared hardship. Really, it's like mistress energy, and I don't always mean, infidelity, third party, although we did have the triangulation card come out. It means that something else was prioritized to the detriment. So that very much can be mistress energy, but it doesn't always mean another person is the mistress. It could be the job, the ego, the friends, the clout that they're chasing, the money that they're chasing. You hear what I'm saying? And then with the Hangman coming out, we're almost being imposed. I don't want to use this word, but forced by the divine to go within and find wisdom, to withdraw from the external world. Nothing's going to be out in the material world. You're going to find it on the inside. That's what these double 5s are telling me. And a double 5 can mean taking a loss, taking an L, but it also means decline, destabilization, debilitation, decrease, destabilization, if I didn't say that already. Okay, so I keep saying the 3 of Swords and the 10 of Swords. So 3 of Swords is to suspend, and the 10 of Swords is, okay, now we have the 5 of Swords, and the 10 of Swords is to cancel, and the 5 of Swords is to revoke. We have a double 5 here and a double 5 here. So here we have the Five of Swords and the Five of Pentacles, and then in the clarifiers we have the Five of Swords and the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands and the Five of Swords they both involve hatred, but one is ego, petty, jealousy, contestation, competition, conundrums, crossings, compound, cascading, cacophonies of karma. Typically talks about a karmic lesson. The Five of Swords is a little bit more spiteful, hateful. It can come out of love, hate. It can come out of somebody that just has a self-interest. Some bullish, some horse pucky, some malarkey, some baloney is getting exposed here with this Five of Swords and the King of Swords. Because it took a long time for the other person to recognize that they've been wanting to make a commitment. And because they were in their own self-interest, Five of Swords means self-interest as well, or short-sighted nature, that they blocked something from taking fruition. That if they were to tell us really what's inside, or to tell us what really was on the agenda, to declare their intention, state their mission, define their objective, that we would actually be in alignment with them. So sometimes what they're really fighting is not us or what we'll say, it's what their own fears. And that's just the thing. When you're worried about what another person's gonna say or do, that means you have an agenda. Because what we could have had was this Ten of Cups, long-term committed relationship, kingdom spouse, etc. Let's move on with character. It's just delayed message. Okay, and then we have it because normally the Page of Swords is bad news. Something here, though, is feeling guilty, feeling shame, feeling haunted, or feeling fearful. Nine of Swords with the Page of Swords. Normally, the Page of Swords is bad news, and but since the Page of Wands is here, which is good news, it means that it was just delayed. Somebody here may be Venus in the 7th house or in Libra. Somebody here may be Venus in the 7th house, the 1st house, or in Aries. A gift was supposed to be given. We were supposed to be prepared for some type of technical skill, supreme authority. We were all supposed to be prepared for some type of, we were being prepared for, by the divine, some type of transmission, Page of Wands. However, there was an outlaw. Somebody stepped out of the cycle. Fool and the Judgment card together means outlaw. Yeah, so there was guidance here that was disobeyed or ignored. And you know what they say, who's they? I don't know. You know what we say here is delayed obedience is disobedience. But there's some type of tribunal, there's some type of throne of judgment here, eternal throne of immortality is what I'm hearing, is here. Yeah, being the super conscious of the universe. I'm gonna pause because I'm getting a message. I'll be right back. Okay, we're still being prepared for this transmission and this supreme authority because all of the clarifiers are good and we have conversación in here. So it's the spirits helping us with La Fortuna, Lady Fortune. So the spirits are smiling on us. I heard the Brahma Viharas, which are the 4 divine abodes, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upaka, which is compassion in the form of love and kindness, also in the form of sympathetic joy. unadulterated compassion and equanimity, which is happiness for the other person. I feel us, unlocked it because we went searching for freedom from something. We felt cursed. Nine of Swords. And we wanted to put something down so we weren't plagued by it anymore. And what happened was, since it was an act of selfless compassion, something got renewed because we were running at a risk of having this canceled out. That's what we requested. But when this went to celestial court and came back, what happened is the divine was like, okay, the hearts are pure. Nobody did anything to each other that was harmful. Y'all are just kind of have a writ of ineptitude. So one of y'all is innocent, ignorant, or inept, meaning lacking skillfulness. Y'all are just on the young side, on the green side, on the wet behind the ears side. Y'all need a little bit more time to firm up in the oven. Y'all need to gestate in the womb a little bit more. And when you come out back around ready for the next cycle, you'll be a little bit more matured, a little bit more developed. That's what I'm getting here. I want to clarify a few things. I do want to know about this fear in this first message from the other side, speranza. So somebody's been hoping, wishing, praying. Speranza means hope, because on the periphery here is Gran Signore. So there's somebody that wants to apply love. That's the King of Hearts, but they're in this desperado here. Desperado is like despair. And for some reason, we were feeling prigione, stuck. It might have been because we did it to ourselves. And that's what we did. We were trying to figure out a way to get out of this. And so we did a spiritual something that was more of a operator tech. I think we did some type of rite or ritual, to be honest. Again, somebody might have their Libra, Virgo, and Libra. Well, okay. Well, Virgo and Libra are on the cusp. So somebody probably has their Venus in Libra, but in the sixth house. Okay, so the sun and the Hierophant mean it's in our hands. And since there's a five in this Hierophant, we're ruling over, we're regulating chaos. And this chaos is that there might be some feeling broken up energy, but it's really grieving and remorse because of a disappointment. We might have had to accept some type of defeat. We're feeling disappointed or grieved. Page of Cups with the Five of Cups. I'm going to clarify one thing really quickly. Okay. So what wasn't clear to us is that there was a connection here, some type of twin flame unit for Wands and the Page of Wands. It left already. So now we have the Page of Cups and the Five of Cups. Feeling disappointment, feeling grief. Okay. We just wanted to go where we were celebrated and not tolerated. And it was unclear to us that somebody was celebrating us this time. Their affections were never shared. It was unspoken. Something here was unspoken. Yeah, but it's time, heart of the matter. With Inari and La Fortuna. It's time, Fortuna, with the Inari. Something here is at the heart of the matter. So that's why we're feeling some kind of way, because even though we tried to break off, break free, go on, follow our passions and into the future, something happened in the last few days where creative new beginnings happening. somebody took their power into their hands. Either that or they're a Taurus sun or a Leo rising with this. This is Sun in Taurus, Hierophant with the Sun card. If this is a Taurus midheaven, that would be a Leo rising. We don't have any corresponding Leo energy here. So it's telling me with the Hierophant that they took the power into their hands. Because they need to regulate chaos. They need to bring order over chaos. And this happened just a few days ago. Yeah, so over the next few months, there's going to be a reconciliation being worked out here. Few months, meaning 3. So on the way towards the solstice around the 22nd of December, something's going to be worked out because there's still warfare in the background. When you see the chariot and the tower, it means that we're sustaining blows. There's an energy here that's trying to block our road, and now we may be indecisive, but it's not the kind of indecisive where we don't want the thing. We'll get the thing. 6 of Cups. That's actually receiving anointing. It's just that our road may be blocked. We may be of an opposing mind, and we need to learn and deliberate, discern. I know a lot of people say the 2 of Swords is indecisiveness. It also means that we'll do better when we know better. And really, honestly, it's not that our answer will change when the facts change. Our answer will change when our feelings change. So we need to collect more information, trust what we can verify. That means we need to examine and investigate with curiosity is essentially what's happening here, because there's energy being projected at us, and it's designed to tear us down, tear us apart, cause some type of upheaval. They're looking for some type of string to or loose thread to unravel, an unlocked door, an open window, an unguarded gate, but we're actually too stable, sturdy for that. So we see it very clearly. Even if our eyes are covered and we don't actually see it in the physical, our spiritual eye is seeing it. Something was supposed to be veiled, which was this love, and this energy keeps coming in to try to re-up, to make sure that this work, this collaboration, cooperation is probably a cabal here. 3 of Pentacles with the Tower either means Mars in Capricorn, Mars in the 10th house, or a cabal. It doesn't have to be a dark cabal, but it's a cabal. Some type of organized structure, usually a coven of initiated, to have power in their hands, and they know what spirit gives them power, whether it's the same spirit or individual spirits. And they have a place where they gain power from, a source of power, like a live wire, really, because cabal means circle, circle can mean school. And the Hierophant did come out, which means seeking help for destructive behaviors. So they're trying to tear us down, tear us apart. Let me just confirm this. Yeah, something is destructive here. Something has to work through the energies of blockage. I want to check this dual swords with the chariot, because the chariot is coming and going, comings and goings, arrivals and departures, moving forward, leaving something behind. There's definitely something coming on the way, because before we had messaggeri, a letter being delivered. Here we have viaggio, something traveling towards us. And it said it's been happening for a month. Somebody's been trying to come forward for a month. So spiri. So we're actually sensing their feelings. This came out in reverse. dispute chatty, they are belabored because they're disappointed, like they weren't afforded something or they got snubbed in some kind of way. There's been some fighting back and forth here, and we're contributing to it. But in the past, in the distant past, there were actual energies stacked up against us, and that might still be bearing upon the present. Because before we had the Five of Swords, and now we have the Seven of Swords. So the Five of Swords is open enemies, Seven of Swords is hidden enemies, but Five of Swords also means self-interest, Seven of Swords means a lone wolf. So what I'm detecting here is that we've had enough. We kind of just want to be left alone. Because when I asked, was there warfare in the past, out came Lenimika. So somebody close to the situation. Yeah. Did some fancy footwork, triangulation. Because it's saying a week from now, a truth will be revealed. Seven of Swords in the Star card. If the genuine article will be shown and seen about a week from now. Yeah. Somebody will discover that they fumbled the genuine article. They had what they wanted and they kept looking for it and got rid of the thing. They overlooked the thing they wanted all along. And it's because they were in some type of competitive space. So they were doing fancy footwork, going too fast, second guessing everything, comparing, competing with everything, instead of just sitting down and being in the flow. Yeah, they definitely fumble. Deleganti means delirium. It typically means unwise, and you don't recognize that you were unwise until there's a missed opportunity. And it's dottore, which is the medicine that you need, the thing that will solve the problem. The bringer of the medicine. So we didn't have any pairing come out, but we had love everywhere. Oh, we also have a double knight here. So this person that we're dealing with, whatever energy is mirroring us here, whether it's a person, place, or thing, there's been a long-standing karmic lesson. Five of Wands. These are self-interest. Again, um, a pair of knights mean conflict, convergence, comings and goings, departures. Six of Wands is an exalted esteemed position. That's receiving glory. So after we go through trial and tribulation, there will be a creative new beginning here because there's going to be some type of Four of Wands. That's a twin flame union, but it also is an ordained spot from the divine. Usually there's a throne, a pulpit, or a platform. And it's on the way. We have Eight of Wands. It's speeding up. It's getting progressive and swift. So I'm pulling now from the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck by Amanda Lovelace. Yeah. So we swam away from the situation. That's what we did in the past. Because we were waiting for this hurricane to come to an end. Whatever energy that is mirroring us had to gain confidence. But it's gonna reemerge, Phoenix. How's that for happy ending? So this is a situation that we walked away from and that we're trying to keep away from actually comes back with a happy ending. Something that we walked away from returns with a happy ending. That's what this reading is about. It's been an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to serve. Thank you for allowing me to do so. If anything I said resonates deeply with you, go ahead and smash that like button. Take good care. See you in the next one. Remember to comment where you're watching in from if you haven't touched base in a while. And there's information in the show notes. Bye-bye.